everybody. Welcome back to another spectacular episode of the Viall Files Ask Nick edition. I'm your host, Nick, joined by the household of Allie, Amanda, and Derek. Hope you're all having a wonderful day, whatever day it might be, especially for those tuning in to us on Monday. I saw a guy in Stagecoach where he was wearing a t-shirt, and it was Sunday. It was the third day, and his t-shirt just said, "Fuck Mondays." It made me chuckle. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, anything going on?
Well, that makes me think of, I feel like Monday is obviously the scapegoat for worst day of the week. Goes without saying. It's obvious. It's easy. Low-hanging fruit.
It's Nallie's favorite day of the week.
What?
I don't know. Psycho.
I was going to ask, what is everyone's like least favorite day of the week and like specifically time? And I would challenge people to not say Monday. Like Sunday
What's
afternoon.
the worst day besides
or like
Monday?
Friday morning.
Friday morning?
Not just day of the week, but like specific time. Like
Why
morning,
would Friday
afternoon.
morning? Tell me
night.
on Friday morning.
I was just throwing some examples
just
to
giving me-
understand. Yeah, no, I would not say Friday morning. I would say Sunday afternoon.
The Sunday scaries?
Yeah.
What's so terrifying about the Sunday scaries? Do you get the Sunday scaries?
I get horrible Sunday scaries, and it's complete,
Really?
and it's not at
It has
all.
nothing to do with your glorious career?
I thought you were going to say being hungover, and it doesn't, because I don't really drink.
Oh, no, I
That
wasn't
much.
thinking about that. No.
I
I assume that the Sunday scaries have to do with work or school, like depending on what you're like.
Yeah.
The
Which is why you day drink.
the responsibility, like the pressures of life.
I specifically drink on Sundays to get rid of them,
but do
or
you,
at least dull their little voices.
she's speaking in hyperbole. Allie is very healthy with her relationship with alcohol.
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
But do you then not have a horrific Sunday night if you day drink?
No, you keep going.
Huh?
It's like that scene in. It's like
No,
that.
what a healthy relationship.
You don't go like hard to the paint.
You just don't stop. What do you worry about on a regular basis that makes you the most sad?
Worry in a way that's like kind of grounded, or worry in a way that's just like sheerly like the most like kind of horrific panic? Because I worry so much about my parents dying and all
Okay.
loved ones. Like I
Sure.
worry a lot, but that's not necessarily like.
I mean, it's open question. Like, I mean, more like what that you ruminate over on. And so that sounds like that would be one.
I kind of get sneak attacks from it because there's not really much place to go with that. You know, it's just like, oh, I'm having this terrifying anxiety, but like, and then sometimes there's a little part of me that's like, should I do something? Like,
What do you mean?
should I call my dad and tell him to make sure he stands up and shakes out and like takes a lap around the house because he works from home and he sits down and I worry about his circulation, but generally I don't do anything. But there's definitely, I don't know. Do you have one?
Are you you're afraid of dying?
I'm not scared of myself dying. I'm only scared of my loved ones dying.
Why?
I'm going to be dead. I'm not going to feel shit.
That's what freaks me out. Is if there's like nothing after life. If it's just
You
dead.
won't know.
That no.
Do you remember that time we talked about what we think happens?
That's gonna put me in the ground right there.
Well, we don't know. You won't know. Maybe if there is an afterlife, you'll be like, yay. And if there isn't, you'll just be like, you literally won't know.
I know, but like life is just so precious, and then you're just
True.
gone.
You know what I think of that's
So why waste it worrying
Forever.
about?
You started this conversation.
No, I know. I mean, unless I worry all the time. A professional worrier. What are you most afraid of? What aspect of aging are you most afraid of?
I don't know, like not feeling like I did everything.
Okay. What do you want to do?
No, it's like the Taylor Swift quote. It's like, I'm intimidated by the fear of being average. That.
Love that. Good motivation. That's like that's motivation. That keeps you sharp.
Yeah, but
and
what if you're
young.
dying? You're like, well, yep, mediocre.
Well, you're going to have perspective on what you think mediocre means.
There's also, I think, a baseline of worthiness that I think is really important, that it's not conditional. Like some amount of like viewing yourself as like enough and worthy, which sounds like cheesy as shit, but like I do think there's some real wisdom in it, and being like, there's a certain part of like my personhood that is like not susceptible to like achievement or to the opinion of others. Because I think it makes so much sense that there's a great part of your personhood that you do want to adapt based on your environment and based on the feedback of others and based on your aspirations. I don't know. Sometimes I just think it can get like, I don't know. I feel like we probably grew up with similar backgrounds of like kind of like the achievement rat race.
Yeah.
And there's like a come to Jesus moment. Do you have an answer, Nick?
Well, I'm afraid of losing my mind.
Like going insane or
Yeah.
like dementia.
No, going insane.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm just constantly thinking. Like even when I was at Stagecoach, I'm having the best time. Even me being present, like it is a fucking maze up there. It's wild. It is a wild party in there.
Mm.
You know?
A lot of open cupboards.
Yeah. Oh my God. But I also really value my consciousness. If, my ability to like when I was at Stagecoach, I was listening to country music, enjoying my fiance, and then just like thinking about questions I wanted to ask Howie Mandel, you know? And then I was thinking, and then I pop into like the meaning of life, or, you know, like, I'm constantly thinking about things, and I'm afraid that's going to turn into me losing my mind someday. And then I was thinking, I was also thinking at Stagecoach, you know how like the term ick and I feel like that's just like a modern day version of creepy, right?
No, not necessarily.
Well, I don't know, but it's relatively new. Do you think men have become more conscious of the word? And because I know I have, you know, like as soon as the term kind of became mainstream, and then I became aware that women are constantly discussing the icks of men and how subtle an ick can be. You know, I'll do something and I'll turn to Natalie and go, was that an ick? And like she sometimes will be like, you know. And so I wonder if men have become more self-conscious about their behavior.
Do you feel like you and Natalie still have icks though at this stage of a relationship? Because I've also heard no one's perfect unless you love them. So once you love someone, is it kind of just like water under the bridge?
Well, you'd have to ask her. But I think I'm capable of. It sounds like, and again, this is a question for y'all women, because I don't think men are the same. I don't think men have icks like women have icks. That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of an ick is that a guy in a heterosexual relationship could, you know, be driving, as Natalie suggested on one episode, and hit a bump and have your body go like an inch off the ground, and that could be icky to her. I just don't think men they're not that sophisticated with their love. I mean, they don't get turned off that easily.
And I also think with women, like icks beget icks.
What do you mean?
Once you start on the ick train,
That's what, yeah.
You can't stop. That happened to me, and every little thing was setting me off.
But like, yeah, I wonder if men have become more. I feel like I've become more self-aware and more self-conscious about it.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like a lot of icks have to do with a lack of self-awareness, or like self-awareness as it relates to somebody else's perception of what's going on.
I think it's more that, because my understanding of the icks is that it can be very superficial and trivial, and like it. I mean, again, the story Natalie told, I mean, obviously all in jest, but I had no idea, and I certainly even couldn't control it. It was just literal gravity and speed. It was velocity.
Yeah, would that not fall into like a person who's feeling really self-conscious about icks? Like, would that not fall into like a level of like being like, okay, well now your job is to like accept yourself and be like, anybody who gets icked out by little things that I do naturally is probably not a good person for me. So as much as I could try to micromanage and curate myself in a way that accommodates everybody's ick, like I'm looking for the one in dating, not a million.
Yeah.
And so I really should just like let my icky icks ick. Trying to say freak flags fly.
I love that. Write a children's book. I'd buy it.
Anyway.
I do. Okay, so we got a submission for a written Ask Nick that has to do with kind of like disclosing your past relationships, like in a budding stage of dating. And this person was very generous in sending in some screenshots. And I thought it was I wanted to get everybody's take because I thought it was so interesting, kind of like the very delicate dance that you have to do in like breaching these subjects for the first time, particularly as it relates to sex. And so I wanted to read the text messages that she sent in and get everyone's take.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay. So just before the text messages, some context. This person said, I had a couple really good dates with this guy, slept together on a Thursday. It was great. On Friday, he wasn't being too responsive via text, but we normally don't text a ton and we were both working.
Was this the first time they had sex?
Yes. Then he was out watching a baseball game, so I didn't let myself read into anything. The following day, Saturday, I get this message about the ex.
Okay. So I'll be him?
Yeah, Allie, you want to be?
Sure, I'll be her.
A bit hungover today, but managing. How was your night? By the way, this is random, but we didn't get into the X-Files yet. Clever. I'm recently getting out of a long-term serious relationship, and you're the first person I've slept with since it ended. Not trying to ghost or be an ass, just wanted to explain that it's giving me some emotions. Okay. I had an amazing time, of course. I just felt like you should know.
My night was good, really chill, watched a 2000s rom-com I haven't seen before, and it was good. Thanks for telling me. I couldn't really read how you were feeling afterwards, but that makes a little more sense.
He thumbed up
now.
my night was good message.
Okay.
I
And-
also usually don't sleep with people quickly like that, but wanted to and don't regret it. So I felt some things after. Not bad, but just things. LOL. Are you saying it's making you feel like you don't want to continue hanging out, or you're just feeling some things right now, and that's why if I notice it a little bit, that's what it is?
I get it, LOL. We both felt things, but yeah, no regrets here. It was a great night, and yes, the latter.
He
I'm
also spelled ladder wrong, but whatever.
I'm not calling it off or anything, but I'm feeling some things hard to figure out right now. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you, so you think I wasn't trying to get laid. What movie?
So you didn't think I was just trying to get laid?
Well, whatever you feel comfortable talking about, I'm happy to listen and help you work through it if you think that would help. Either way, I think you're really cool, and I would like to continue hanging out. Just let me know if it gets to be too much or anything. When you say recently, though, how long ago do you mean?
Did he respond?
Referencing the relationship?
So that's all we have.
Oh!
And then she wrote, old situations are making me think,
Well, he's not into this and doesn't want to see me again. Well, healthy, logical me is trying to take him at his word until he gives me a reason not to. Because if I could choose whether or not I wanted to know this or would be wondering/confused, I'm happy he told me, and that's what I would want. So, what's your take here? Did I respond okay?
yeah. So you guys have heard me talk about this recently, and I think I'm on a new path, so to speak. I think we need to stop having sex. I'm kidding. I mean, in a way, yeah. I think we need to slow down. Again, if you want to participate in hookup culture, fuck all day. Fuck all night. Just fuck. Be safe, wear condoms, protect yourself, put yourself in good and healthy situations. But if you want to date, if you want to meet someone, sex complicates things. It just does. And we're expecting people to know how they're going to respond emotionally in these very vulnerable situations, including men who, aren't as emotional when it comes to these things. And I think societal kind of stereotypes suggest that men have no feelings when it comes to these sorts of things. And that's just not true. A couple good dates doesn't mean anything. Again, it doesn't mean there's an established emotional connection. It doesn't mean there's a bond. She had no idea about the ex or how he was feeling because a couple dates is a little maybe early to bring up an ex. But, we have no problem fucking.
No problem.
And again, I'm not shaming having sex. I'm just simply saying we have to make choices and understand the choices we're making. And sometimes if we want to choose to have sex in an early dating situation, we might be putting the potential relationship at risk. Not necessarily. Again, Nally and I hooked up the first night. So far, we've worked out. There's no black or white rule, but it does complicate things potentially. And so I think our writer inner, she has no real data points to really trust and go on. But she's trying to use the data point of a couple good dates. She's trying to use the data point of, well, he told me about an ex. I want to take him at his word. He doesn't know how he's feeling, So what does taking him at his word mean? He clearly was feeling something. He's being truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he be so vulnerable to say that, like, hey, I kind of broke up with something. She doesn't know his dating history. She doesn't know his sex history. When I was in my 20s and I had very little sexual partners, and I was coming out of a relationship, kissing someone was a big deal, let alone sleeping with someone. And then when I did sleep with someone, that was super fucking emotional for me. That was a lot for me to process, going from dating someone for a couple years and then having sex with someone else, especially when I had very limited sexual partners that fucked with me. And I don't know what this guy's history, and it doesn't really matter if he slept with 50 people or 5. He has the right to feel how he feels. He also has the right to feel how he feels and just think, maybe this person isn't my person. If in a week he's like, you know what, this person isn't my person, does it make him a liar to her? When she says, oh, I want to take him at his word, again, he has the right to change his mind about her and she has her right to change his mind about him. The couple dates might not go as well. The sex could get awkward. And, she's basing all of this off of first couple dates. So again, I just think sex really complicates things emotionally. And I think for all of us who are out there struggling with dating, we have to make life simple on ourselves. We have to. I answered this question in Questions with Nick when someone's like, "Oh, I've been dating someone of them for a month. Is it too early to define the relationship?" And I was like, "Of course not. We have to. It is hard to build an emotional connection when we're talking to a bunch of people. If we have all these options, it's hard to focus on one individual person. So when we're matched with a bunch of people in a dating app, when we're going out with 3 or 4 people, and I'm not shaming any of that, I'm simply just saying it's hard to build and focus on one person or focus on building one connection when we're always considering the next best thing out there.
Yeah, I think it's like the attention economy. Like I am on my fucking like soapbox screaming about this.
No, that's a great thing that you talk about. It's awesome.
Well, I think it's so applicable to dating where it's like we're used just with the rapid rate of communication and like technology. I just think we've in like a heartbeat. Like I feel like in the past 10 years, like the way our brains are wired and the way we expect to communicate with people has been like drastically altered. Our parents have like everyone's going through this for the first time. So there's not like adults who can protect you. There's general principles that you can apply to try and help yourself. But like, I think it's really applicable to sex in the sense that before, I think when people would say, wait to have sex to women, a lot of times I think there was this undertone of like, that is your only power. Your purity is your power. And so you better wait because you don't want to play that trump card too early. And now it's more of a, like, we all know that when you kind of somehow trick yourself or end up in the situation where you're able to kind of invest in something that is the long game, then the gratification is so much stronger. And so if you can just get yourself to make the choice and practice kind of the self-restraint of kind of letting it build a little bit more and like use that kind of anticipation and inherent motivation of like curiosity for like what it's like to have sex with someone. If you can use that to propel you through more of the getting to know you phase, so that way you don't fall off and you don't lose attention, it could be so helpful.
Yeah. And I think this story is a perfect example. Here he has this guy, right, who got out of a relationship, and it speaks to the power of sex. So first he went on a couple good dates, and he might have been on the exact same page as our person who wrote in. And then you have sex. And then immediately, again, he starts thinking about the sex and how does that compare to his partner who he had sex with, literally countless times, and how does that make him feel? And is it, and it's such an unfair comparison. You shouldn't be comparing, but it's impossible not to when you dive into something before you're ready. And so, I just think we have to be willing to have these conversations before rather than after. And somewhere along the line with hookup culture, we have turned sex positivity into diluting the meaning and the power of sex and the role it plays in a relationship and the power of how it can complicate people's feelings. It can heighten people's feelings and give them a false sense of connectedness with someone. It can push people away because they're not sure how they feel, and they feel like the type of expectations that come with it. Oh, well, I slept with this person, and this is a guy who is self-aware and realized that the person he slept with is probably thinking a lot of things too, but he's thinking things, so he wanted to acknowledge that. And it's just like everyone's just kind of worried about how the other person's interpreting the other person because they have no rapport. Again, essentially a stranger. And then you have to be this vulnerable person to say, hey, listen, like, we've been naked, we've exchanged fluid. Oh, by the way, I have this ex, and he's afraid of saying the wrong thing because it's, and so we have to be willing to show some restraint. And I think we have to be able to have sex positivity while respecting the power of sex, because I think it is unfair to have sex with a stranger and then hold them accountable for how they process their feelings afterwards.
Yeah, it kind of feels like people, if let's say like women or anybody were like forced to be like vegans their whole life, and then all of a sudden they like go out on their own and they can eat meat. It's like you don't necessarily want to have meat for every single meal as every single component. Like there's probably still sometimes you want to like sprinkle in some veggies. So it's like, I feel like so often it's like kind of like this reaction to shame of like, I've been like suppressed. I've been told I can't do this. I've been told it like means all these things about me when I do. And so it's like a revolution of like, haha, stick it to the man. You can't control me for some people. And then it is like kind of once you can kind of move through that reactive to shame mindset, like be like, what are some better options here? And maybe it's not a good idea to have sex. And that doesn't mean anybody's saying that you're not fully embodied within your sexuality or like autonomous. But I did think this guy was being very communicative in a way
Sure,
that
it's
proactive.
better than just ghosting for sure.
And she's wondering if she said the right thing. Yeah, you were nice. You were nice in your response and you were empathetic. That's all you can possibly say. And you were honest. And what should she do? I think she should just back off and see if he comes around. I think that's all you can do.
Yeah. I hope they end up living a long and happy life together. But in case they break up, for some reason, should they need to break things off, this week's breakup song of the week is Molly by Lil Dicky featuring Brandon Urie from Panic at the Disco. And the person who submitted this said, the entire song is incredible and really conveys the emotion of a breakup and pulls at your heartstrings. All of the lyrics are relevant, but I think the chorus perfectly encapsulates the second guessing and regret we feel post-breakup. So here it goes. It's the hardest rule to follow. I'm thinking of you. I really wish that I could call you. What can I do? You can find another me tomorrow, and that's the hardest pill to swallow, babe. If I woke up and called it quits, I'm thinking of you. If today I gave up on all of this, I don't know what to do. Maybe I could get back to you. Maybe I could get you back tomorrow, and that's the hardest pill to swallow, baby. Great breakup song. So check out our breakup song of the week. If you're wondering where to find that, go to our Instagram. There's a highlight reel. So that's under our bio and all that business. But before our grid posts, little circles. One of them says breakup song of the week playlist. And there is a link where you can listen along with us. And thank you to everyone who submits. We have so many awesome submissions. Keep them coming. We love it.
All you kitchen people out there, I know I'm one of them. If you aren't cooking with Caraway, well, then what the hell are you doing? Caraway has the best pots and pans and bakeware that you can find. I absolutely love it. I have 2 different cooking sets of Caraway. I've been cooking with for a few years now. I'm a Caraway customer for life. They're truly the best. Aesthetically, they look beautiful on your stove. Also, my favorite part is they're clean and safe. They are made chemical free. They don't have the PTFEs or PFAs. The PFAs.
Lead.
Ew.
Caraway products are made without any toxic materials. That's right. No, none of those PFAs, PTFEs, PFOAs, lead, hard to pronounce chemicals. Yuck. We hate that. Also, super easy to clean. I just love them. I can't tell you how great they are. I cook almost every night, and I'm always cooking with Caraway. Trust me when I say they're the best you can find and wonderfully affordable. If you're a baker, they also have great baking pans and cooking sheets. Truly, like the material is high quality. I can't say enough about Caraway. Over 40,000 people have raved about their Caraway kitchen. Now it is the time to try it for yourself. Truly, ceramic naturally slick surfaces means minimal oil or butter for slip-off pan, eggs, and easy cleaning. Really, everything is easy to slip off, easy clean. Yeah, I mean, what more can I say? It's awesome. It's great. I've been a customer for the past 3 years. I'm a Caraway customer for life, and you can be too. Visit carawayhome.com/VIALL to take advantage of this limited time offer for 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/VIALL or use code VIALL at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. ZocDoc! One of the greatest inventions of mankind, right next to fire and the wheel. Why? Because they make it so much easier than it is for you to find the doctor that you need when you need it. I mean, come on. We've all had that, rash or that ache and pain that we thought, I should probably go get this checked out. And then, you don't have your primary care physician, whether it's your dentist, whether it's your rheumatologist. I mean, if you need a rheumatologist, whatever it is. What's so great about ZocDoc is you go to ZocDoc. That's a free, easy to use app. If you have insurance, you put your insurance information in. And so they will list all the doctors available in your area that take your insurance that are available for appointments within as little as 24 to 48 hours. Because, you call a doctor usually, right? And you maybe get a recommendation from a friend. They're like, yeah, we can get you in a month from now. It's just like, this rash could take over my body.
The day that I woke up and I had to fly to Denver to go see my sister, and I couldn't move. My whole neck would not move. It was miserable flying. I could not even look over my shoulder. And so I used the ZocDoc app in flight and found a chiropractor in her neighborhood in Denver that could see me that afternoon, like an hour after I landed. And it was beautiful.
Get the health care that you need when you need it by using ZocDoc. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them and treat almost every condition under the sun. Find out what previous patients' experience have been with these doctors. It's so nice to see. So go to ZocDoc.com/VIALL and download the ZocDoc app for free to find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/VIALL. ZocDoc.com/VIALL. All right. Well, we have a great week lined up for you. It's going to be super exciting. Also, don't forget, Viall Files Plus is available. For all the people who love their updates, we dropped another update special behind Viall Files Plus last Friday. I know the week before we dropped one behind Viall Files Classic. I know you all love those. So if you're starving for more updates, there are so many more wonderful ones we have for you. Just check it out. It's free to sign up, cancel anytime. Go to viallfiles.com to sign up. You can listen to Viall Files Plus the same way you listen to Viall Files. Be sure to check that out. In addition to your updates, we have all the episodes of Better Date Than Never. We have our Pop Off or /Pop Extra, which is all heading pop culture topics at the end of the week, things we don't get to talk about on Going Deeper or Freestyle. Also, don't forget Better Date Than Never live this Thursday. You really got to check it out. It's so wacky and fun, and people are just having a blast. People are meeting friends. It's a great community. I hope you take the time to try it out if you haven't. That's 9 p.m. Eastern every Thursday night. Get ready for some great interviews this week. It's a big secret. I don't want to spoil it. Tune in tomorrow for your surprise. All right, let's get to our colors.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
Hi, I'm doing well. My name's Greg. I'm 24, and I'm looking at reaching out to my dad, who last year broke up my family by cheating on my mom with a woman who I was interested in, and who was her boss.
Your mom's boss?
So my dad, he was her boss.
Okay.
It was his employee
Okay.
who you were interested in that
Okay.
he
Yeah.
left your mom for.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry that happened to you. It sucks.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's definitely been happened December of 21, about 3 days before Christmas. So, it's been a year, but it's been
that's when you
it's been a
found
long journey,
out.
but we found out 3 days before Christmas. So him and I were sitting there. It was probably like 8:30 at night. My mom came home and she handed me her phone and she was like, "Hey, look at this." And it was the text messages between them. And he was like confessing like he loves her, and he was doing the countdown until they can like be together. And they were talking about, having kids and all this stuff.
How
And
old's your dad and how old is her?
she was a year younger than me. So I'm 24. That makes her 23. And then my dad's 50, or he was 53 at the time, now 54.
Okay. So they push
So yeah, definitely
Larger than your age gap.
Certainly giving me a run for the money.
Yeah. They said, I raise you a 30-year age gap.
Just blowing me out of the fire. Jesus. Wow. Okay. What was the immediate fallout like?
So, I mean, at first I was shocked. He got very defensive. My mom started getting very emotional, which rightfully so. I mean, she had every right to feel that way.
Yeah. So defensiveness was his first reaction, not like, I guess,
Yeah, he got very
accountability.
defensive. I got, just that protective mode kicked in. I told him to pardon my language, to get his shit and get out of the house.
Yeah, good for you.
And then that's like the first time I've ever seen red in my life. He tried to talk to me and I was just like not having it. I just told him to get his stuff and get out. I immediately booted him out of the house. Kind of after that happened, I gave him like a 30-minute time period to get his stuff and get out. And then I walked him out and I was like, "Hey, you gotta figure this out, sort this out, whatever this is." And then we kind of parted ways for a little bit.
When he found
I
out,
didn't really talk to him.
his first reaction was to be like, "I love her and we want to have kids."
Yeah, and my parents, I was in college, I graduated last year, so I was in school at the time, and the school I went to was about 30 minutes from my home, so I still lived at home. And a month prior, my parents were having some issues, and my mom was kind of having, a gut feeling that he was cheating, and my dad kind of was. I think the reason, according to him, that he was done back in November, a month before this happened, was he was like, I can't have a relationship that isn't built on trust. So it was kind of ironic that he said he couldn't have a relationship built on trust, yet he went out and
What was he referring to?
did this thing.
Oh, because your mom didn't trust him?
Yeah, my mom just kept accusing him that he was cheating. And
Okay, so he's a little gaslighty. Okay, so you kicked him out. You told him to deal with your shit. Like what? And then what proceeded afterwards? Like, do you have any contact with him? Did you? What do you know about his life? Is he still dating this person?
we didn't talk. So I kicked him out December, about 3 days before Christmas. My mom, her and I don't really have a close relationship at all. I mean, I still live at home, but she has an issue with alcohol. So there was one night last April where she was just, drinking a lot. She was emotional, came into my room and just started like yelling at me. She kind of blamed me for everything.
How so?
I don't know. She just asked like why I let him do this to her, to my mom. She asked me like why, just all these questions. And to me, it just seemed like she was blaming me for all this.
Yeah. I mean, she's obviously hurting.
Yeah. She asked me why I wasn't more protective of her. And I was like, I mean, I can't control my dad's like dick. Like I can't control what he does. Like he's a grown man. He should be able to like control himself. And so that night, like she really just kind of like, she got into me, and that's when I called my dad, because I just needed a parent in that moment. My dad was really kind of like my rock prior to all this happening. Growing up, he was like, I was super close with him, coached me in sports. He was definitely like my mentor, or not mentor, but like definitely helped guide me in life, and somebody I'd go to for advice. And so,
probably your mentor. Yeah.
In that moment. Yeah. So in that moment, I was just like, I need a parent. Like, I'm just distraught. So I called him and we talked. And after we talked that night, he kind of calmed me down. I was just like, I think this is a good place for us to have another conversation, and hopefully we can try to build this. And we met about a week later, and that's when he admitted that he was still seeing her. They were living together. They have a dog, apparently, is what he told me. He got fired from his job. His company found out. They gave him, I guess, the benefit of the doubt. They let him resign. But yeah, so I kind of gave him the ultimatum. I was like, hey, it's kind of me or her. Like, either you choose to have a relationship with me, or like you have a relationship with her. And he chose having a relationship with her. And yeah, now I'm here.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm sorry you're going through all this. It's a lot. How is your relationship with mom now?
I mean, it's still kind of rocky. I mean, her and I, we went to Europe together in November. That was really cool. It was an opportunity for us to kind of get closer. And I don't know, I kind of was hoping that we would have some, maybe some time just to have an in-depth conversation and kind of check in about everything that's happened over the last year, which we didn't get to have. I mean, I'm still working on my relationship with my mom. I kind of have some resentment towards her, just things in the past. And I know she's not perfect. Our parents are imperfect humans, but yeah, our relationship's still kind of rocky.
Yeah. When you gave your dad the ultimatum, what exactly was his response? Like, did you literally say it's her or me? And he's like, well, I choose her then, kind of thing?
I phrased it as like, like I have no desire to have you in my life unless like you're not seeing her. And he was like, well, yeah, he kind of confessed how strong he feels for her. And he said, like, I'm going to keep pursuing things with her, and I'm very interested in her. So that's when I was just like, okay, like, I can't have you in my life if you're going to be doing that.
And what'd he say?
I mean, I can tell, like, he was very sad about it and upset. I mean, I'm his only son. So, I mean, he was very upset about that, which I don't know. I mean, that day I kind of looked at him. I was like, I mean, I get, like, you're sad, but, like, you're making the choice, bud.
Yeah.
You can't be sad. You can't be sad if you're making this choice, right?
Do you have siblings?
Like, you kind of got to live with it. Yeah. So I have half siblings. So I have an older brother and 2 older sisters.
Well, what are their opinions on this?
Kind of the same as mine. I mean, what he did was pretty terrible. Yeah, they think it's pretty terrible. They also, I mean, my mom, with all of her drinking, she kind of just sits in the house and stirs, and she'll text my siblings, and she's also caused like a bunch of fights with them. And now my siblings are at the point where they don't really speak to her. So I'm at this point where I'm balancing a relationship with like my mom and then like a relationship with my siblings.
Yeah.
So yeah, they think it's terrible. They're really protective of me. They're like, we're not talking to him just because like of what he did to you. Like, we think it's terrible that, you had feelings for this woman. You express that. Like, I talked to my dad about it. I like got advice from him, and they're like, yeah, we think that's terrible.
So while you were pursuing the woman he's now with, you went to your dad for advice about her.
Yeah.
And he gave you advice all while having sex with her behind your back.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Huh. Did he give you good bad advice, or?
No, I mean, he was just like, he gave me pretty good advice. I mean, it's like her and I were talking, and
he's like, let me tell you exactly how to get her in bed.
He just kind of told me like, if your guys's, views on life don't match up, then maybe that's somebody that, like, as hard as it might be and as, interested as you might be in her, if your guys' outlook on life doesn't match up, then maybe you shouldn't invest any more time in getting to know her or trying to date her. Which I was like, I mean, that is valid. Like, that's good advice. Like, for example, she doesn't want kids. I want kids eventually in the future, and that's a
I thought your dad wanted to have kids with her.
Yeah, apparently he does. Yeah, apparently she wants kids with him. So
gotcha. All right. Well, what do you want? I mean, what's your reasoning for thinking about reaching out?
Yeah, so I have two reasons. The first, I mean, I'm 24. I'm kind of entering that part of my life where I am starting to build my life. Like, I just entered, my career. I'm starting to look at places to move outside of my hometown. I'm really looking to build a life for myself, and my biggest fear is building a life out of resentment because of everything he's, like, all that trauma I've experienced as a result of him. And I do want to be married. I do want to have kids. And my biggest fear also is, like, going into a relationship and carrying that baggage with me, not being the best version of myself for my future wife.
Well, that's very self-aware of you. And I think that's a great perspective. This is definitely one of those, like, you can choose to be right or choose to be happy kind of scenarios. You can't control what your parents decide to do, and it's very hard to try to offer them advice and tell mom, hey, you need help or therapy or, some sort of substance abuse program, whether it be AA or something like that. It's just very difficult to try to get your parents to do anything, because they're so used to being in the ones in control. Yeah, I think I think there's a way to have a relationship with your dad while still having some pretty, defined boundaries. And maybe it's just an honest conversation with your dad that goes something like, listen, like, at the end of the day, you're my father. And, like, you're aware of how much you hurt me. I don't respect what you did. And I have a really hard time accepting what you're doing. But that's your life. But you are my father. And I want to have a father. And if you want to have a son, I need to see you go out of your way to mend some fences. If you're going to be with this person, so be it. Like, I can't stop you. I hope that you can respect that. And I hope that you at least can understand why it's so difficult for me. So I'd like to have a relationship with you, but I don't want to hear about her. I don't want to be involved in her life. And I need you to go out of your way to have a relationship with me while separating her from it.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And that's something I've even thought of, when him and I do have a conversation, just setting that boundary of, hey, like, I'm down for you and me to have a relationship, but I don't want to hear about her. I don't care to hear about things you guys are doing, the life plans you guys have. Like, all that doesn't really mean a lot to me.
Listen, it kind of sounds weird, but, like, you can have a father and love your father and not necessarily respect him either.
Yeah, it makes me think of, I was listening to the Ask Nick from this week, and you mentioned how, like, you can be mad at people and still have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And, like, that's something I was like, damn, that's really valid. Like, I can still have anger and frustration and still have a relationship. I guess another fear of mine is if I do have a relationship with him, it's just like, I don't want to carry that anger to it or like anger into the relationship and constantly harp on, like, everything he did in the past. Yeah.
I mean, listen, at this point, your dad has clearly made it clear what he's going to do, and you're not going to change it. So you're right. Like, you just kind of ruminating about what he did and staying in that anger isn't, like, doing you any good. Have you done any type of therapy work about this issue?
Yeah. So I've been in therapy. I've seen a therapist since, like, 2018. And that's the other thing. Like, my dad was a big advocate for me, like, helping, like, my mental health. And he kind of made the analogy of, like, he kind of made the sports analogy of, if you tear your ACL playing football, like, you're going to go see a doctor. So, like, it's the same with mental health. Like, if you're feeling anxious or if you're going through some stuff, like, go see a therapist about it. So I've seen my therapist. Her and I we meet twice a month. We talk about it, and yeah, she was definitely blown away when she first heard all this. She was like, "What the heck? Like, your dad's that old doing that? Like, come on!" But she's given me some pretty good advice, and it's definitely helped me in this last year and a half.
Well, that's good. Well, keep doing that. I mean, yeah, I feel like, you don't have to agree with everything he's doing, and he, as a parent, he could be an example of what you don't want in your life. And I think you two just have to find a way to have a relationship that this doesn't get brought up. He's made his bed. He's decided to do this. You're not going to change his mind. And it doesn't do you any good to just stay angry, you know? So work through it with your therapist, work through you processing your anger and accepting it and just moving on. Like, you know, honestly, the fact of who it was, like the fact that you had a relationship with her, I think honestly, it feels like a bigger deal than it is. I don't mean to minimize it, but I just think that's more of a just a salacious detail that just kind of adds to the drama and but at the end of the day, like, you know, she was probably just some girl that you had a crush on and would be over and it would be completely forgivable to you at this point in your life. It just so, you know, and like, it would be natural for you to feel things like embarrassment and things like that. But, you know, like, I think it's more your dad who really should be embarrassed, or her, you know, for what they did. You know, they, if they wanted to be in a relationship, fine, but he could have done it in a way that didn't betray, you know, so many people. So,
well, and that's what I told my siblings. I was like, if he just, you know, manned up and looked me in the eyes, was like, you know, I'm not happy with your mom anymore. This woman, like, I do have feelings for her. If we had a conversation, like, I'm a pretty understanding person. Like, I wouldn't like it. I'd still be very protective of my mom going forward, even though like her and I have a rocky relationship. But I would at least be a little bit more accepting if he just manned up and like.
Have you ever said that to him?
Treat me like a man. I actually did when him and I met in April. I was like, if you just manned up and like looked me in the eyes, just like, hey, I have feelings for her. And like, you know, your mom and I, like, we had a great run. I'm not happy anymore. I can't be in this. Like, this is something I want to pursue. I'd be like, okay, like, I don't like it. It's definitely going to be weird.
What did he say?
But I can work through it. He was just like, oh, okay. Like, you know, I wish I would have had that conversation with you then. And I was like, oh, okay.
But I'm glad you said it, you know, and
yeah,
he didn't. On some level, you're just going to have to choose to not necessarily forgive him, but just let it go.
Yeah. No, that's what my counselor said too. She's just like, yeah, you're gonna have to acknowledge and accept that he's with this woman. And she was like, your ego in a way might be a little hurt because she picked, in a weird way, your dad over you. And that's kind of a weird thing to be in. But she was like, you just kind of got to learn to let it go and know that there's better things out there for you and that you can learn from this. And that's something that I've definitely been working on over this last year and a half.
I mean, I'm pro reaching out to your dad. I mean, I'm always just in favor of doing what you can to maintain and have some kind of relationship with family. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not going to be ideal. It might be complicated. There might be moments of awkwardness, whatever. You might need space. But like, you know, not having them in your life, you know, life's definitely too short. And I think it's just, you know, again, setting expectations, enforcing those boundaries, and make sure you and your dad are on the same page. And see if he's willing to, you know, go out of his way to make an effort to have a relationship with you, you know. But I think you want to make it clear. It's just like I want to get over the anger I have for you, and I want to get over the hurt, and because, you know, I love you and you're my dad, and I want you in my life. But like I definitely feel like you chose her over me, and again, I'm willing to work through that, but I really need you to step up and go out of your way to figure out how you can have a relationship with me. And part of that is I need you to respect the fact that, like, well, if you're going to be with her, so be it. Like, just please keep it like, when we talk and we hang out, I'm not the person, I don't ever want to hear about your relationship. I'm not your confidant about your relationship. Like, when it's you and I, let's just bond. Let's, you know, however you and your dad bonded, maybe it's sports, maybe it's something else, whatever. Just, I want you in my life. I want to have some kind of relationship with you. It may never be what it was before, but like, I want it to be something. And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, that's great advice. That's definitely something, you know, I kind of, in my life, I just feel like I'm missing this void. I mean, my dad was, you know, my love language, like how I give and how I want to be received, is quality time. And my dad, while I was living at home, you know, we spent a lot of time together, whether it's like, watching sports, or, you know, I got him hooked on The Bachelor, Bachelorette. So we would just kind of watch it and just talk some smack. And so he definitely supported me in a lot of ways that I needed as a child. So like, you know, at graduation last year, I didn't walk because of everything that was going on. So I definitely do feel this void in my life. And I think maybe it's time to, kind of reach out and mend everything that's going on and set boundaries and put them in place.
I also, like, just from talking to you for a brief period of time, like, I'm so impressed with your emotional intelligence, and you strike me as someone who is so high functioning.
Thank you.
And I think it's really
Thank
easy
you.
for people to confuse functioning with like healing. And so with your
Yeah.
friends, or like, I don't know if this is, I know it's such an intimate subject. So it's probably very, you're very selective with who you want to bring this up with. But if you do have people you feel safe bringing it up with, like, I would just maybe account for the fact that you are functioning in a way that maybe does not imply the seriousness of the situation. And so like erring on the side of like disclosing details, just that way, like they're aware of what's going on. And I would also say, like, I grew up in a home with addiction. It's a mind fuck. It's the worst. It's the fucking worst. Like, it is absolutely like gut wrenching, heart wrenching, atrocious. And people tell me to do this. And I'm saying to you something that I should be doing. But like, I don't know if you've heard of Al-Anon, but it's for people who are like loved ones whose loved ones are addicts. And, your loved one doesn't have to be an AA or anything like that. But it's like shares that mentality. And just when I was going to meetings regularly, like the group mindset was irreplaceable. There's truly, for me, like there was nothing that could provide that kind of like understanding that I needed, like in the loneliness of dealing with like someone else's addiction. And especially when it feels like your dad has chosen this other life and this woman over you. I think with addiction, it can be so easy to like feel this, like they're choosing the substance over me. Like, why can't they choose me? And so I think that, and I can imagine that in your situation, that would be especially difficult. So I think really finding resources to like to get the best support possible in that area, so that way you can kind of, it doesn't exacerbate the other areas that you're trying to find solutions and healing in.
Yeah, and I don't know, what all your thoughts about the fact that your dad, quote unquote, picked her over you, but to try to make you feel a little bit better, not that you're like, I'm sure, but just putting myself in your dad's shoes, right? Or whether I agree with his actions or not, he lost his job, he's 50 some years old, and he has this person who's validating him and giving him all this attention, and he's getting his quality time, and he's thinking, well, like, you're in your 20s, you got your whole life ahead of you. You're not going to be hanging out with me 24/7, like, yeah, I don't have a choice. He wants her to be his partner. And it's just like, it's a kind of, it's apples and oranges in his mind is my guess, where it's just like, I don't want to choose, but you're not going to be in my life all that much regardless, just because, you're starting your life and she lives with me. We have a dog together. Do you want to get a dog with me? That's probably how he's thinking it. Do you want to move in with me? No, you don't want to be my roommate. You don't even want to talk to me. And he probably feels like he needs her. And again, it doesn't mean I agree with it, but all I'm saying is that should hopefully help you feel less like he picked her over you.
Yeah,
because
and that's, it's funny you say that. A couple weeks ago, I went to my grandma, so my dad's mom. I go over to her house kind of once a month, just to help her out with anything she needs. And she kind of brought up the fact that my dad has picked women that like he feels like he needs to save. And so I think kind of like, you nailed it on the head. Like, in a way, he feels like he was picked and validated, and that she needs him, and that makes him feel good in a way.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think reach out to your dad and just have that. Hey, I don't respect what you did. I'm still angry, but I love you, and I want a father, and I miss you, and I want to figure out how we can have some kind of relationship. It might be messy, it might be complicated, but I want to make it happen. I hope that you do too, and I need you to go out of your way to do that, and I just need you to be willing to respect some boundaries. I won't ask about your life. I won't be nosy. But just please respect the fact that, like, I just don't really want to be a part of it. And, my support will be from afar, and the fact that, like, I'm just going to accept your life so that I can have a relationship with you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So should I just, shoot him a text? Just be like, hey, like, the last time we spoke, the last time I sent him a text, I was just like, hey, like, I really don't want to hear from you. So do I just shoot him a text?
I don't think you explain yourself in a text. Just maybe hit him up and say, hey, it's been a long time. I miss you. Sorry if this is coming out of left field, but, do you have time to get together in the next week or so?
Yeah. And then from there, just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if he, like, pushes you for, like, why, I guess. But ideally, I'd love for you to, like, be sitting down with him face to face before you really get into any of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do that.
And make sure you are being taken care of, like, by your people. And I don't mean that in some huge dramatic way, but like, this is clearly like, it's a big strain on you. Your dad was a big part of your life. Your mom's a big part of your life. Like, it's a lot going on. Like, make sure there's sources as you navigate these kind of like uncharted territories and try to figure out how these relationships can be sources of like care again. Like, make sure you have that in the meantime, and that you're letting your friends like support and show up for you.
Yeah. And that's something I'm working on with my counselor is, letting those people that are close to me support me. I mean, I have a very difficult time letting, for some weird reason, loved ones support me.
Totally.
It's not shocking. The two most important people in your life have kind of abandoned you.
Yeah, kind of like you were saying, Amanda. Yeah, I've definitely taken the time to just invest in myself, and definitely, I mean, over the last 6 months, I would say I've definitely been doing a good job of when my friends are checking in of just like, hey, if I feel terrible one day, like I'm going to express that to them, and I'm going to let them, check in on me throughout the week, and let them kind of be my life jacket if I need it in that time.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let us know what happens. Good luck. You're doing, I think, a positive thing for you. It's hard to be the bigger person, but I think this will pay dividends. And yeah, listen, relationships with family is very complicated, but I think it's just better to have them than not. And it won't be the last time someone in your life disappoints you, but I think at the end of the day, this will, this will allow you to like have less regrets in the future, and your dad can still be a role model for what not to do type of stuff, and you can use this relationship as motivation to, both your mom and your dad. They could be examples of the type of life that you don't want to have. And then you can still have gratitude for your parents in a way, because, my guess is life didn't work out the way they had hoped for themselves. And, maybe, their disappointment in their life can be a way for you to avoid disappointment in yours.
Yeah. And that's what I included, when I texted my dad last April. I was just like, thank you for everything you've done, like both prior to this incident and, for this incident in a weird way. Like, it's going to make me, I told him, I was like, it's going to make me a better man, a better father one day, a better husband. So I was just like, yeah, thank you for, I guess, this experience.
You have a good head on your shoulders, pal. So
perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Keep doing the work. It sounds like you have a lot of reasons to make excuses for yourself and beat yourself up, but you're doing all the things to keep things positive. So I commend you for that. And, let us know how it goes. We're excited to see what happens afterwards and where the story continues.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time, and yeah, congratulations on all the success.
All right, appreciate it, buddy. I'll talk soon.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Also, if you want to go to an Al-Anon meeting and like be accountability buddies, I should go to one. You don't have to take me up on this, but we can email each other and make sure we go to one by the end of the month. No pressure. Either way, I'll be checking in for an update on you. And if you wouldn't mind just sending me that voice memo, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I got you. Let's go to a meeting together. I love it.
Sounds good.
Yay.
Right,
accountability buddies.
Take care.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up? I'm Paige. I'm 26, and I think my boyfriend has been taking erectile dysfunction meds, but I didn't know about it.
All right. How'd you find out, or how do you think? So you don't know for sure?
I guess I do know for sure because I found like empty packets of them.
Okay.
They're like individual packets, and I originally found them. He was using he held my license for me when we went out one night, and then I went to go grab my license. I was like, "Hey, babe, can I grab it?" Just opened his wallet. Felt like a wrapper in the back, and my heart kind of clenched because I was like, it felt like a condom wrapper, and we don't use them. So I was like, why does he have a condom wrapper? And I pulled it out, and it was this like specific type of erectile dysfunction medicine. So I was like, oh, like maybe he tried it once, like for fun. I don't know if that's something like you just would try. I'm not sure. And then we are long distance. So then the next time I saw him, he was visiting me. And I grabbed deodorant out of his toiletry case. And I found like a whole bunch of them in the bottom of his toiletry case. and a few had been used, and a few were, and like the wrapper left in there, and then a few were unopened.
Okay. Is this sparking any thoughts of infidelity?
No, because I truly do trust him. And that would be out of character for him. Like, he would much sooner just break up with me than cheat on me. I think it's more like sparking. I guess it's twofold. One, it's making me wonder, like, is he hiding other things that I should be concerned about that maybe aren't infidelity, but just like not being as open as he could be in a relationship? And then two, which I could go into deeper, but it's kind of affected our sex life. And obviously he doesn't know that I've realized this, but I've noticed some things.
What have you noticed?
Okay, so sometimes he's like ravenous and like insatiable, like you can't, like he has to have sex then. And I want to too. So it's never like, it never occurred to me in the past. And then I guess other times he's just like very happy to have sex, but it's not like that same aggressive energy. And I think it only started occurring to me that there was this difference between the two, or I guess it only started alarming me when I found those. And I don't want like our sex life to become this thing where like a certain amount of time before he just decides to like pop a pill and then now he's ready to have sex. So like I gotta go too.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think you need to address it with him.
Yeah.
Why are you so reluctant to do that? Why? What do you mean how? Wait, how long have you been dating this guy?
We've been going back and forth for like a year, a little bit over a year, and like officially dating for about half of that.
Okay. And like how long distance is this?
He's East Coast, I'm West Coast.
Oh, it's a long distance.
Yeah.
How old is he?
26 also.
Okay. Is there any plans to close the distance?
Yeah, very soon actually. He's moving out here.
Okay. So it's a serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing compared to what I'm sure will be tough conversations you'll have to have if you guys end up together. It's awkward, sure, but you have to have it.
I guess I'm reluctant because I didn't like find it in a, like the first time I found it was like probably the most natural way. And I was like shocked, I guess. And now it would be like, I guess it would feel like I was snooping now. And I don't want him to feel like I'm like looking for a problem.
So how did you find the stash again?
I like went into his toiletry case to get deodorant and there was a bunch of them at the bottom.
So he's not like hiding them.
I think he is hiding them because I don't think he would keep the empty wrappers in there. Like, I think he would just throw them out.
Like he doesn't want you to see them in the trash.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
He's not hiding them very well. I guess that's what I'm saying. You know, you didn't really have to snoop to find them. This is not like doing a deep dive on someone's email.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
And the truth is not incriminating. Like in this conversation, you can literally say, hey, like I've been sitting on this for a while because I really didn't want to make you feel weird or like anxious about this. And like, I didn't know how to bring it up since it's like a topic that doesn't tend to come up. No pun intended. But like, I think just being like the first time it was like what the night with the idea, you can literally tell him what you're telling us because it's not incriminating. It's not you doing something kind of shadier, like a little gray area. Like you're fully just like going about your day.
You know, what's interesting about this too is like, I don't know like when this type of medicine like became available or its origin stories. Maybe it's been around for a long time, but I'm old enough to like vaguely remember like when it became more mainstream, when like Viagra like came onto the market, so to speak. You know, I don't remember how old I was, but I just kind of remember it becoming a mainstream thing. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm really curious about like young men now where like I've never tried one and I'm not saying that like, but like I'll be honest, like there's been a part of me that's like it'd be kind of like fun to see and try. I don't know, like, you know, just a little more firepower, like that could be wild and fun. I know guys have for just fun, like recreational purposes, right? And I could see a world where someone might almost become addicted to it or just like they like the sensation it gives, that kind of insatiable, like, oh, I gotta have this. Like, maybe there's a rush there, and maybe he just got into this habit. Maybe a buddy of his told him to try it and felt a little embarrassed, didn't want to tell you, or maybe he is having some issues. I don't know, but like, I could see both being the case. Either way, you're in a relationship with this guy. He should tell you. And like, I can understand why he doesn't want to tell you, but like, this is an opportunity for you to just not make him feel judged one way or the other. I mean, listen, if he's using it recreationally and he hasn't been hiding it, I think you have a right to be annoyed. If he's just like, hey, like, I use it for fun, and be like, okay, fine. Like, great. Like, I'm not your parent, and I don't know the efficacy of this, and I don't know how safe it is. I hope you've done the research, but I do have the right to know, because like, it kind of changes your behavior. And also, like, yeah, if, like, just because you decide to take a pill, like, it's not my job to get you off. Like, if we want to incorporate this into our sex life as a fun way to have some like wild sex, then fine. That you can make that as a mutual decision between the two of you. Now, on the flip side, if he's maybe, stressed out, I don't know, maybe for a couple weeks couldn't get hard and went to some doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, try these. And he did. And maybe, again, just got not necessarily addicted to them, but like, it gave him some confidence, and he tried it, and now he just likes the way it makes him feel. I don't know. But I think there's a world where you sit down and, like Amanda said, you just say, hey, listen, he's telling us the truth. You remember that time where I gave you my ID or blah, blah, blah? Well, I found your blah, blah, blah wrapper. And like, first off, like, I love you. And like, but I do want to talk to you about it. And can we have a conversation? Like, and just, don't make him feel shamed or judged, or don't come in kind of yelling at him or lecturing him or that's fucked up or say things like that. You do have a right to ask questions, and you do have a right to say, well, I really wish you would have told me. I want to have the type of relationship with you that we can have these types of tough conversations. I wish you would have given me the opportunity to show you that I wasn't going to make you feel judged, or that I would listen, and we'll work through these types of things. And if you want to try things out, and you want to explore kind of adventurous things in our sex life, then I want to be a part of that conversation, and I want to do it together. And I think that's totally okay to have, and it's also necessary in a committed relationship to have these awkward conversations. You don't want to be in a relationship, I'm assuming, where it's just like, well, I didn't know how to tell you, so I just didn't. It's a slippery slope, Yeah,
because like, nothing enables anxiety more than knowing if there were an issue, the person might not tell you. Because then it's like, okay, they're not saying anything, but there could be an issue. So I think just like framing it as like a door opening for just communication about a topic that it's hard to talk about in general. Because like, I find I get super nervous about having conversations of sex with my boyfriend, even though I feel very comfortable with him. Like, it's an area that's really tender. And I think especially with like erectile dysfunction, I think so often there's this kind of trope of like men feeling like emasculated or inadequate, but then like, if it's a female partner, like them feeling like inadequate and like not
like,
hot
I can't
enough,
make you hard,
and like,
or whatever,
and like feeling insecure, and like, there's, it's like a minefield. There's so many different things to navigate. So like, viewing this as an opportunity to like set a precedent for like how you guys can do the like thing and kind of like deal with the discomfort for a little bit in service of like productive communication.
And I think you should start the conversation something like this. Hey, babe, can we talk? And you say, I just want you to know, like, my goal of this conversation is for us to like become more connected. Like, I just want to get on the same page. That is my goal of what I want to talk to you about. And then you tell them the story. It's not like, I found these, explain yourself. Don't do that. Don't be like, some would. That's fucked up. Like,
Yeah, I found out about your little secret.
Yeah. Don't make it about you, or, just be kind of like, hey, I want to understand, I found these, and like, how can I support you? When did you start taking these? Can I ask why? Just very kind of compassionate, but you do have the right to have answers. And if he does get defensive and he does get mean, you have a right to say, I don't deserve that. Please don't talk to me that way. Like, I came to you in good faith. This is something you clearly have been hiding from me. And well, I don't think there's anything like going on that you're hiding from me. Like, that does create doubt when I realize you're hiding something from me. And I didn't find this by snooping. I just, you're not very good at hiding shit.
If I'm being honest. Yeah, I tried to approach it when he was here, but I wasn't direct. And I was kind of like, in a more intimate moment, like, has there ever been anything about your body or like your physical appearance that has made you insecure in the past sexually? Maybe not with me. Like, and it was a very natural conversation, and he completely was like, no, I haven't had that issue. So it's like I guess my
might be
problem
true
with
again.
him most
Like,
of the time.
you have no idea. It wouldn't shock me at all if he's like doing this for fun. I don't know. It may be, but like, yeah, this is not something you got to be direct. You just got to come and face it and not try to like massage it or see if he's willing to, you found something. Don't the truth. So don't do the thing that he did. Just be direct and open and honest. And you got to, someone in this relationship has to set the example and the precedent that we communicate even when it's awkward or tough. And we don't keep things from each other, even when it's awkward and tough. And by you not telling him or kind of, beating around the bush, you're just doing this. You're validating what he's doing to you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When you put it like that.
This doesn't have to be that big of a deal. It really doesn't,
I guess my fear is that like it does become a deal and it takes longer for him to actually be honest about it. Okay. Because if he's hidden it this much that if he's not completely forthcoming with the information, then I guess
sure. But
I don't know, that's where the fear is coming from.
Well, that's good. Good to be honest with yourself about that, but that's not a reason not to do it. This guy is about to move across the country, presumably probably to live with you.
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, either way, this is an issue you're going to want to tackle before that. And there clearly is something going in there. I could tell that you have some doubts about if there's more things he's not telling you, which would be a natural feeling. It would be normal. Yeah.
I just don't know what those concerns are. And I think if anything, they're more stemming from my previous relationships than they are from him.
But either way, you can just say that. So listen, like, I'm not judging you, like whatever the reason for this, I just don't want you to like hide stuff from me. Like I want to, because when you do, it makes me worry that there's more I don't know. And I don't want to feel that way about you. So like you've never made him feel judged about something vulnerable in the past, have you? So you say, like, yeah, I've never, until I make you feel judged or vulnerable about something, I want to be with someone who's willing to give me an opportunity to be compassionate and be supportive and be caring and not judgmental. And I want to share, I want to have a sex life where we talk about new ideas and we explore things together. And if I have an issue, like, listen, like, as a woman, there's a lot of things that kind of can go on with your body, and I'm sure things can feel very vulnerable at times. And I'm assuming you want a partner that, like, if you need to just say, hey, listen, babe, like, this is what's going on with me right now. Can I tell you so that you understand and you don't get in your head? I want to be able to tell you that without feeling judged. So I want to do the same for you.
Okay.
You promise you're going to do it?
I do. I think I will wait until I see him in person.
When's that?
In like 3 weeks.
Okay. I'm not saying it's a bad.
That's too long?
No. I mean, it's just more, you don't get to see him all that much, and FaceTime's pretty effective. And there's a possibility you guys could work through this issue before you see each other next time, rather than have it cannibalize your entire time together.
That's true. Yeah. And like having the anxiety is like, as soon as I see him wanting to have sex and like having that thought in my head.
And for two people who have a long distance relationship, I'm guessing you've gotten pretty good at having a relationship long distance via FaceTime and staying connected via FaceTime. So my guess is waiting is just an excuse to wait.
Yeah, that's true. You're not wrong.
Okay. All right. So this week.
Okay. I'm supposed to talk to him tomorrow night for a while. So I'll try to do it.
You can do this. Like, if this is someone that you have any potential with as a future, if this is someone who truly loves you and you love them, like, I really don't think this needs to be that big of a deal. Now, I don't know how he's going to handle it, and I don't know what his truth is, but if you go about it the way we have suggested, compassionately and without judgment, and just, you know, again, state the upfront expectation of my goal of having this conversation is it, I want to be on the same page, and I want to stay connected to you. And I found this out. It confused me, but I don't really have an issue. I don't know why you're taking this, and I don't really have a problem. I just want to understand, and I just feel like you've been hiding it from me, and I guess I have some questions. So how did this all start? And, you know, I'm fine either way, but I just want to be on the same page. And then just kind of give them these examples of like, hey, I want to have this type of relationship with you. You know, in the future, I might have a vulnerable thing where I'm going to have to open up to you. And I hope that I can do that.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't need him to like tell me every time he's about to take one or something. I just want to understand that like there's trust on both sides.
Well, if he's taking it for fun, I think you have the right. If it's more of a medical purpose, then yeah, you don't have to be so nosy, but you don't even know. And you have the right.
Okay. Thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
when you are having this conversation, if something feels off, listen to your gut. Don't ignore it. Don't sleep it under the rug. Trust your body. And if it doesn't make sense, you should be able to say, well, I'll be honest, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You have the right to say that.
Yeah, hopefully I can say it in the moment. I feel like sometimes those thoughts come to me after, just in general.
That's
so
okay.
Hopefully I'm like,
and if it doesn't happen in the moment, you know, but don't be so quick to react, you know, like you can just be like, let me think about that, you know. And if you don't come up with it in the moment, you still have the right to bring it up. There's nowhere in any type of relationship rule book that says if you don't have the thought immediately, you're not allowed to express it.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of like, you don't want to be the person that like keeps bringing up the same problem, but if it doesn't get resolved, I guess.
Like, yeah, you said something the other day and like I've been thinking about it. And again, it's how you approach it. Don't come in with an accusation. It's just more like, can you help me better understand this? Because to be honest, it didn't make sense. All right. Well, good luck. Definitely keep us posted.
Okay, I will. Thank you guys so
All right.
much.
All right. Good
Appreciate
luck.
it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So something in a thing I was listening to from Brene Brown earlier, she talked about how sometimes she'll go into really challenging conversations, like particularly ones that like require vulnerability, with notes. And she said, and she acknowledges, she's like, I know this gets pushback, or it's very right for people to make comments about it in some way and be like, why do you have notes right now? But when she talks it through, she was like, you know, my explanation for that is this is an incredibly important conversation for me. And I wanted to make sure I was able to articulate myself even in the face of emotion. And I was like, that sounds really smart, but it also feels very stigmatized.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, do you think there would ever be a scenario where you would bring notes into a conversation?
I'm not a notes guy in general, if you haven't noticed. But I wouldn't be offended if someone did, especially if they're like, listen, I just don't want to forget. I have things I want to say, and I know I'm going to get emotional, and I don't want to lose track of the things that I want to say.
How about you, Allie? Would you ever like bring notes in?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I probably have.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Well, and especially in the heat, I don't do well on my feet half the time. So if I don't, I've like had difficult conversations over FaceTime before where like one of my best friends is laying on the floor and she's texting me what I should say because she knows what I've expressed to her. But in the heat of the moment, it just all goes blank.
Sure. Yeah. Your blood pressure goes up.
Yeah.
You get rattled.
The adrenaline kicks in.
Yeah. I feel like you're very good on your feet, so you probably don't need them.
There's a certain point of conversations, just a certain level, I guess, of like intimacy or vulnerability where I freeze. Like because I have a processing disorder and it just really kicks in at a certain point and I will go blank and it's kind of scary because I just feel so incompetent and like crazy and I completely lose sight of how to like communicate with people and sometimes I'll like cry and get so I actually, even though there's like certain times where I feel like very comfortable kind of like improvising, making it up, with these kinds of conversations, I get really trapped.
Yeah.
So I wish I had more courage to like use notes.
Yeah.
I don't know. But tell us in the comments if you've ever like brought notes into a difficult conversation, if it's been helpful, if someone's ever done it for you. If you have opinions on why that's not a good idea, just let's get the discourse going.
How's it going?
Hi.
What's your name?
I'm Reagan and I'm 28 years old.
How can I help Reagan?
And I currently still live with my ex-boyfriend, and I'm just concerned that his habits are going to be a detriment to both of us.
Okay. Why do you still live with your ex-boyfriend?
That is a great question. Unfortunately, we signed a year-long lease together. Last week, he decided he no longer wants to be in the relationship. No backstory on that. We've not had a conversation since. And there's no plans to move out because neither of us can afford it in a big, expensive city.
Okay. So he broke up with you.
Correct.
Do you have hope that there is a chance for reconciliation? Like, how are you doing?
I am horrible. I am not doing well.
Okay.
I am very concerned first and foremost, just for him, but also
Why?
I think so. He's definitely struggled with addiction in the past. And I'm concerned about where that could go in the future. I've noticed some things that he's trying to, since the breakup, he's been trying to kind of get his life under control and get a better routine down, is what he has told me. But with that said, this has happened before. We've been together, or we were together for a year and a half, and he did get sober 2 times during that. Neither of them stuck for all that long. The longest period was 2 months. And unfortunately, it got a lot worse after he started drinking again.
Okay. So alcohol is the drug of choice for him?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have friends?
Yes, I have quite a few friends here. One unfortunate thing was, and that's why I feel like this was a little bit calculated, was I quit my long-term job. My last week was the week that he broke up with me, and he knew that. And I kind of talked to him like, finances are going to be a little bit tight for a little while, but I'm going to figure out a plan. So I wanted a job that made me happier. And he just kind of said, don't worry about it. Like, we will figure it out together.
And then broke up with you a week later?
Yeah. So I had put in my notice, and then we had broken up within my 2-week notice.
That sucks. I don't want to minimize how money obviously might be a struggle, but I think you're in a real bad situation right now living with your boyfriend. And I would understand why in some fucked up way you continue to live with him feels like the best option because, well, one, you can stay connected with him. You can stay close to him. Obviously you're heartbroken, you're healing, and then, you can keep an eye on him, all this shit. But boy, there's a lot of ways this could go wrong. Additionally, you've been with him for a while. There is a pattern here, and it's not heading in the right direction. And you said you're 28?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Super young, but you're not getting younger. And you've already invested a lot of time in this guy. And you got to start having some serious conversations with yourself about as much as you might love him and care about him. And I'm sure you've had some great moments. You're in your prime right now, and do you deserve better? Sounds like you do. You're right. What he did was a real shitty thing. And the part of you thinks it was calculated and Machiavellian in some way.
It really doesn't make sense on a lot of levels. We had planned a trip 5 days before, and he was really excited about it. We both were. We had talked about, all these things that we could do on the trip, and that was something that I keep going back to. If you knew this was going to happen, why plan the trip? Why spend the money? Why waste that time? Why both take days off and stuff? And then it was just he woke up first thing and just broke things off with no explanation, and he doesn't feel like he needs to give me one. And
that's insane.
Where I'm really frustrated.
Yeah,
it is. It truly, it's I don't know where things went wrong. We had discussed things in the past, and I feel like he feels like I'm not mothering him, but I'm definitely looking out for him and I want the best for him. And he knows that. But I also feel like he's being watched too much by me, which isn't the case. It's just he would really like to have his own time, his own space, and to do things without me saying. The only thing he's told me since is he feels like he was letting me down for a long time, because every time he would say he had a drink or he had 2 drinks or
Listen,
the
he doesn't.
weekend 12 drinks.
He doesn't want to get better.
No.
No.
I've noticed in the last week he hasn't had a drink. Well, that I've been around for. At home he hasn't been drinking. He hasn't come home drunk, and he's like told me that he's trying to turn his life around. I have heard this before, of course, but I've gotten his friend involved since, because I don't think it's fair for me to do it alone. And I'm at that point where maybe he's no longer my problem and I need to pass it along, kind of like pass the torch. But his friend has also been worried about him for some time. And we've talked about potential mood disorders, because a lot of it's like in line. I have talked to other people like professionally, like professionals, and a lot of it is in line with personality disorders. So that's like very upsetting to me, because I know he needs the help and I know a lot of it runs in his family and he doesn't see it. And I brought up something just the other night and things got very aggressive, not physically or anything like that. But he said, just because I don't want to be with you doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. And of course, like that's very hurtful to hear.
Sure. But you kind of have to respect the fact that he chose not to want to be with you. And even if he's not willing to explain himself, or even if it doesn't make sense, I think it makes more sense than you're giving it credit. You know, he has a history of this behavior. He has a history of substance abuse. And like, those are the reasons, you know what I'm saying? And even if he has a personality disorder, like there's like a part of you that's thinking, oh, well, he has a personality disorder. Well, then we can treat that. And then if I could treat that, then we could be together. Right. But like listen, like, I'm not saying if you're dating someone with a personality disorder, break up, but it is difficult. It is a challenge. And you're a single person right now and you're 28. And it's one thing to be with someone with a personality disorder. It's quite another one to be with someone who also suffers from addiction and is in denial about this potential disorder that they have. And there's not a lot of optimism for him making the appropriate changes so that you two can be happy in a relationship until he starts turning a corner there.
Right. Would you suggest I kind of just like pass things along to the friend who's also very concerned about his ways, and he's talked to me about it? I don't even think you need to pass it along. Brought up.
Yeah, I think it's
just like his own thing.
I think it's not your problem.
I think if it would help you in terms of like your own guilt and making peace with it, because I think it's really important that you like get out of this situation, because like it is like so set up for failure if you're trying to get over this person and focus on yourself and process and grieve and heal and do all that. Like this is I think the worst possible environment that you could be in. And so I think the priority is getting out. And if telling a friend like makes it feel like you could leave with a little bit more peace of mind, then like you can do that. But like, it's not.
But it's also it's not your responsibility. You don't owe him that. To Amanda's point, that's something you'd be doing for yourself for peace of mind. But like, you don't owe him that. You're not his caregiver or his parent or his guardian. He does have friends and family, and you have to make sure you're not using his problems as an excuse to feel needed by him, even if he's rejecting you.
Yeah. And would you suggest the conversation to have him move out?
Is that what you prefer? Could you move out?
Not easily. Everything is mine. It was my apartment first.
Okay.
And so we didn't move in mutually together. He had moved into my existing apartment. And so I've been here for the entire time since I've moved from away from home. And so this is very much my space. Like it's hard for me to be here now, of course, because like there's so many memories attached, but
Let's talk finances for a second. You quit your job.
yeah.
Can you afford this place on your own?
I'm not sure I would be able to afford anything here, unfortunately, but I am starting a new job in a few weeks. So
Okay. When you say
I think
anything
eventually
here, what do
I
you
would
mean?
be able to.
Okay. So you're starting a new job. That's great. Yeah, you're going to have definitely some temporary short-term discomfort financially, emotionally, all
Yeah.
these things, right? But you can get through all that. You know, you'll make more money. You're only 28. You don't have a lot of priorities in terms of people you're responsible for. You're single. You don't have kids, correct?
Correct.
So, you know, while this feels like I'm sure heavy and almost feels impossible, I'm confident you can get through it. I think you should also forget about the fact that it was I just don't think you should be making any decisions based off of like, well, I have more of a right.
It's the principle.
It's the principle or your own stubbornness. So like whatever you decide to do to figure it out, and like, yeah, you do have the right. And if you generally just like, yeah, I can afford it. It's going to be more expensive and I might have to dip into my savings a little bit, but I'm going to get a new job in a couple weeks. I'll make it work. Maybe, there's a couple people I could get a roommate. That's possible. If I were you right now, I would just kind of take a step back and kind of do an inventory of your options and take away any like self-judgment of, I can't believe my life is like this now. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to have to like sleep on my friend's couch, or oh my God, I'm going to have to move in with so-and-so. Like, I can't believe it. It's not what I imagined for myself. Me and my boyfriend were supposed to go on a trip. That's just not productive. And it's a total waste
Would
of
you
your
go on the trip?
with your boyfriend?
Yeah.
No,
Fuck no.
don't be toxic.
So he asked me the itinerary this morning.
What? No.
Don't be toxic.
No. Would you have to pay money for this trip? Use the money you would save by not going on the trip for a storage unit or a freaking new apartment.
Have you booked the trip yet?
Yeah, I already paid for it.
Okay, whatever. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to you can always take this trip. And whatever happens between you and him, you don't deserve to be treated the way he did. If he wanted to end the relationship, he has the right to end the relationship, but how he's gone about it and his refusal to sit down with you and give you like an explanation and kind of be just very kind of dismissive, like you don't deserve that. So you have to like let him know that. And like going on a fucking trip with him while you're just going to argue the whole time, you're going to feel confused.
And we're just like roommates at this point. Like there hasn't been any really argument. There hasn't been any like
is this
disrespect between it. Like it's just like I've asked, a couple times like, hey, can we talk things through? And he's like, I just don't have to do this with you anymore, so I'm not going to.
Great. He's and you don't either. But the truth is, as much as it would be far more considerate and empathetic for him to do that, like you don't owe him that. You know what I'm saying? And like, you don't need to go on a trip with him. And I think if anything, maybe he's doing you a favor by being this cold. So, because it sounds like you've given this person every opportunity to work on themselves and try to fix themselves so they could be in a healthy relationship. You've been very patient and understanding, probably far more than you should have or needed to. And now you're just kind of stuck. You're stuck kind of feeling like you owe him or he needs you, and you're going to feel guilty if you abandon him and shit like that. And he's made it clear that like he doesn't owe you anything and therefore you owe him nothing. Yeah. it just sounds like a kind of fairly unhealthy situation that like for things to get to where they need to be is going to take a shit ton of work and time. And he is not interested or willing to do that. And you just have to ask yourself, how much more time am I willing to waste and invest in someone who's not willing to help themselves? So if I were you, I would take an inventory of all your options without judgment of what that looks like. It's going to cost you a little bit more money. It's going to be a little bit more inconvenient. You'll get over it. 5 years from now, it's like, listen, you get a $100 parking ticket. You're like, fuck, and it ruins your day. 2 years later, you're not like still being like, oh, if I only had that $100, you'll make it back, and you can break a lease. They'll charge you a penalty. It might cost you like a month and a half or a month's rent. I don't fucking know. The next 6 months don't matter in terms of what your life looks like. The next 6 months is about setting yourself up for the next 6 years. Just focus on dealing with this situation right now without judgment of, you know, not being your ideal, like where you want to be at 28.
Right.
You should be more afraid of doing nothing and staying in this, because that's a real waste of your time. That's really setting yourself up for disappointment. So as far as how do you address it with him as far as moving out, I wouldn't ask him. I would just say, I need you to move out. We can't live together. You're not asking.
Mm-hmm.
And if it gets to the point, you just be like, I don't feel safe about being in the same house with you. And like, I don't really want this to get messy. So can you just please respect what I'm asking? And I need you out by next week.
I can do that.
And I would tell his friend your expectations as well. Hey, I'm going to ask him to leave. And like maybe his friend can help convince him, hey man, you should move out. I don't think this apartment you have is worth putting yourself in an unsafe or vulnerable situation. Like you can find another apartment.
And I think sometimes we operate from this scarcity mentality and we cling to things, and it makes things so much harder in our life. But if we just accept that, again, money will come and go, apartments will come and go, we don't have to cling to these individual things, life becomes a lot more easy.
So, so you've done the home. So I say, you say, all right, we can't live together. I would like to keep this place. I would like you to move out. I've had this place before. If you need to live here and you refuse to leave, I'm open to hearing why you think I should give this up. I just wouldn't fight over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would just lay out the options kind of matter of factly and just kind of say, this is what I want, but like, what do you want? At the end of the day, I'm fine with any of these options. I'll make any of them work. What I don't want is to live with you.
Yeah. It's not healthy for either of us, for anyone to like keep tabs, because I know like when he comes home late, I'm concerned, like, where have you been? And like in my mind, I'm like thinking the worst, of course. And
I, maybe reach out to the friend and about the living situation, say, I can't live with it anymore. I don't feel comfortable. It's not healthy or safe. Here are my options. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to ask him. I really need your help in kind of massaging and helping him and I get to some sort of resolution. I'm honestly open to all three of these. This is what I prefer, but I just need us to make a decision.
Okay. Yeah, I think definitely reaching out to them would be a good step, because I think need be he could help if possible.
Yeah.
If he needed a place to stay for the meantime.
All right. It sucks. I know you're going through it. I really feel for you. Keep us posted. Check in with us. I know it's a very difficult thing that you're going through. I don't envy you, but you can get through it. You just have to not judge yourself about where you are in your life, prioritize your mental health, and just really decide that you don't want to waste any more time. You've given this person the benefit of the doubt for far too long, and you cannot help people who don't want to help themselves. And you can still love and care about him and wish him the best, but you deserve someone who's willing and wanting to be as much of a caregiver and a partner to you as you are to them. And I promise you, good things will come from you trying these new things and pushing yourself and working through the inconvenience, and it will open new doors and new ideas and have you meet new people.
Like, people talk about fighting for relationships all the time. Like, this is your chance to kind of like fight for yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I've really needed to do that, and I haven't for the past year and a half.
That's a year and a half's a long time. People can change their lives in a year and a half. They can truly, they can learn new languages. They can become experts in things. It's a long time for you to waste.
Yeah, and I don't want to like keep wasting it. I don't want to like wait for the lease to kind of run out, because it puts my whole life on hold for that whole period of time too. And I would feel obviously uncomfortable, but also that's a long time to wait and hope I'm feeling better and not really get any closure and still be with the same person and just kind of be in limbo with them. So,
correct. Yeah. Do not go on the trip. You promise?
I don't know. I'm still like weighing my options. I'm so stressed about it.
It's not an option.
Reagan, what do we need to tell you?
No.
It's not an option.
I know.
Reagan,
You're going to go and you're going to waste money and you're going to waste time and probably just end up either angry or confused. And I don't know, you might act like roommates or he might try to fuck you or he might fuck with your head.
All of
There
the
are no
above.
good
All
options.
above.
What
And
do
they-
people do on vacation? They drink.
And fuck.
They drink and fuck.
I know.
This is the last person you should
I
be
know.
drinking with or fucking.
It's your life, not ours. It's up to you.
And it's hard. I know it's really hard, but you can do it. Fight for yourself.
It's really stressful and it's like a very secluded trip. So it would truly just be us.
Fuck no.
But and so like I feel like I would be able to say like
What
no
would you tell a
alcohol,
friend?
Mm-mm.
But
What
We're
would you-
not going.
What would you tell a friend?
no way in hell.
You gotta, yeah. I mean, this is your life. I say this to people
Yeah.
I care about. Like you can fuck up your life. We go through life, especially in our 20s. It's like everything's gonna work out. Everything happens for a reason. Like it'll
Mhm.
all work out. You know, especially if we grew up in relatively privileged, households and upbringings. Like we just have this mentality that's all gonna work out. But the reality is, your choices matter, and you can make choices
Mhm.
that fuck up your life. And the good news is that we can fuck up and we can learn from them and fix them. But like, if we're not willing to learn from them and we keep making the same fucked up decisions, we're going to finally get to a point where it's harder and harder to correct. And so
Yeah.
it's your life. It's your choice. And at some
Mhm.
point, you're going to only have yourself to blame for your life not working out the way you wanted, And
Right.
at 28, it's a little easier to be like, oh, I never imagined this for myself. Because like at 35, your life could be drastically different and in such a better place. So you can have a different perspective. But like you also could be 35 and stuck in the same relationship with the same guy who's going to have the same problems.
Mhm.
And it's that much harder to make changes because it's a little easier to get a part-time bartending job or a nanny at 28 than at 35. Or maybe you decide like when you get break free, maybe you want to go back to school. Maybe that's a lot easier at 28 than 30, Just saying, you can fuck up your life with the choices you make. So it's up to you.
I know. I think we just have to have that conversation and just cancel it and be on the same page with it because I don't want to cancel it and then not tell, and then he's still planning to go and all of that. So I think I need to have that conversation tonight.
His feelings right now don't really matter to you. They're not your problem. It's fine. You can wish him the best. You can hope he's doing okay, but it is not your problem to make sure he's okay. And I think right now, every time you make a decision about the two of you, you're worrying way too much about his feelings and not enough about your own. You got to stop that because it's going to fuck up your life.
Yeah.
Your decisions matter. Things don't just work out. All right. I believe in you. I hope this tough love was effective.
At least one of us does.
You can do this.
Yeah.
I know you can do this because I've done it. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's inconvenient and it sucks and it feels like the worst, but you can do it.
Ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yep.
And I have to do it.
You're going to be so much happier if you do. I promise. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
This might take longer than you want.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I have made notes. I know what I need to do, and I will do it.
All right.
Tonight.
It's your life.
I know.
All right. Keep us posted.
Will do.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to send in those questions at asknick@theviallfiles.com. Check out Viall Files Plus for an update special that dropped this past Friday. Check out viallfiles.com to sign up. It's free to sign up. Cancel anytime. Love ya. See you tomorrow. Bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.